And we're live. All right, our sponsors today are just kidding. It's so good to see everyone.
Good to be here.
Yes, good to
I
see
see you've been enjoying those bagels, and I was worshiping the bag and had a bite of one, and I felt like all self-conscious because it got all in my teeth and everything. And then I basically what I'm saying is I'm going to not eat bagels before coming up here. That was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So I got some water, and I might be hitting that up this morning. Well, again, welcome. We're in a interesting series called Habits. It's the new year, and we want to be having new habits. And just give a little bit of maybe a reminder, introduction, this whole year, what we've been trying to become or do. And that's be a church that pleases God, and that's to be a people that pleases God, people that encourage one another to please God. And starting habits, which help us do that, it sounds like a strategic place to begin. First week we talked about our identity. That's all about the who before the do. Who are you? What do you identify as? And that should dictate your actions. And the second week we talked about what's an action that you can take based on this new identity that you're holding, something you want to become. What's the action you should take? And then last week I said, hey, here's this message is just all about keep on keeping on, because the year hits hard, and you start a new habit, and then you fail immediately, and you think, why am I even doing this? And I want to encourage you that every tiny step you make does matter. Just like every mistake we make, every tiny mistake we make adds up and matters. So we encourage you to keep on keeping on. Today, I want to talk about stopping based on who you want to become. What's one habit you want to stop? We all have similar goals. We talked about this first week. We have similar goals in life, things we share. I want to have a good marriage. I want to have a good career. I want to raise godly kids. I want to have a long, healthy life. But we don't always hit the same similar results. And why is that? It's because the choices that we make and the habits that we form that dictate our life and bring us on one path or another. So no one plans to live paycheck to paycheck, stressing over money. No one plans to become overweight and then struggling with some illness like the diabetes that I need to always stave off. Friends, no one thinks that they're going to get addicted to a substance when they first try it. They might think like, I can try that. I'm stronger than that thing. But our actions have consequences. And sometimes we can get into a habit spiral that's in the negative. And again, that's what we're talking about today. What habits, maybe, what are some things we maybe need to look at and stop? Now, I know there's some seasoned Christians here, and you're probably like, I don't even know I can't even pay attention today because I'm just so holy. And I'm going to call BS on that. We all got issues. I'm going to make some eye contact with some of you all today, saying, hey, let's be real with each other. We need Jesus. We make mistakes. Jesus is the one who was perfect. And I want to be more like the perfect one. So I'm sure God's already spoken to your heart this month of what you might change in your life. And I encourage you today to look deeply and ask the Lord, what do you want me to stop? What is the thing I'm holding on to? What is the thing I'm doing that's not of you and not a part of the identity that you want me to have? Let's open up with a quick word of prayer. Father God, we just thank you again for the opportunity to come here to worship you, to surrender our hearts before you, to spend some time in your presence as a community, to love on each other, and to show our adoration for you. God, open up our hearts and minds to receive your word today, and help us be transformed. Help us grow closer together through the process as we share some vulnerabilities and maybe some of our bad habits. We love you so much. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so keep in mind, we've got the applause-o-meter still up and running. If ever you want to be rowdy and test your enthusiasm, the applause-o-meter is there to judge your performance. Let's give it a quick test. Let's get a quick round of applause, see if we can't get it up to 10. And go. Okay, we know it works. Let's see if we can't get some enthusiasm going on today. We're talking about bad habits, which is so exciting to be, I guess, cheered on. So we'll see. We can cheer sarcastically. I've dealt with my issues. I'm not here today to brag on my sins or even say, hey, can you relate with me on this particular thing? But I'll go into my mid-20s and just say, I used to have a problem with gambling. And I say that with a smirk on my face because it wasn't one of those dorky gamblings like scratchers or blackjack. I played poker online. And I say it in this cavalier sense because I thought this was a noble pursuit. Because poker's not gambling. Poker's a sport. Because it's not gambling if you know you're going to win. You know, you got the skills to deliver. There's no risk. And some of you might say, that's foolish, Noah. You're not going to become successful gambling. You don't even have a plan. But I did have a plan. In fact, I had a system. Because there was an author, a famous poker player named Doyle Brunson, and he wrote a book called Super System. So we've been talking about systems being the keys to success. Well, even with a system, you can systematically fail, if that makes sense. Like I was unfortunate on a system to fail, thinking I was on a system to success. Now, I know there's some of you out there probably who are excellent poker players. For you, it is a sport. So I'm not here to rain on your spiritual parade. You keep on keeping on if you don't feel like that's a problem. For me, though, I played online. And online poker is different than regular poker. And at that time, it was the Wild West because it wasn't regulated. So to even play, you had to do kind of like nefarious things and whatnot. So here's what I learned about me. When I succeeded, when I won a tournament, I found that I would never withdraw the money. I just keep it in there. And I just go in for a bigger tournament. Because I found that I wasn't really interested in making money. I was interested in the thrill, the excitement of winning. And I eventually lose, then I have to throw in more money to keep playing. But that desire, that thrill, went away on the $1 tournaments. And I started going to more like, no, I'm only going to do $25 tournaments. Then those got boring. So I thought I'm only going to do the $200 tournaments, because in a $200 tournament, people don't mess around. They play seriously. They're not going to go in with 7-2 all in. I'm telling you, nothing would make you more angry with those sort of shenanigans. And then it got to the point when I lost at the 200 level of I needed a $250 tournament, or I needed a $500 tournament and to win, to make up for my losses. Oh, and now I'm in the addiction gambling spiral. I'll tell you, I don't have an online poker account now, and I don't trust myself with online poker gambling, because it's not about making money, it's about chasing that thrill. Are there things in your life that you've identified of like, man, I kind of have an addicted personality towards that thing, I should probably stop doing it? That's what I'm talking about today. Are there things in your life that you can identify that don't even start out really as that bad? Maybe they feel harmless, but it's progressed into something that's taken over your life, and you're spiraling. Maybe it's something we need to give up, you need to give up. We rarely end up in the wrong place because of one bad choice. It wasn't just one bad bet. It's the consistent showing up to those tournaments, showing up to those places. It's the consistency of placing that bet and then feeling those feelings that lead you down into that spiral. And it's natural to look at the situation, write it off, like, oh, I won't do that. Like we just almost reduce it down to a sentence of, look at that person. They gambled all their life savings away. And it's just all those bad actions, all the bad habits, reduced down to this sentence of, that's what happened, just this thing. Not all the steps, just this thing. They gambled their life savings away. Or they had an affair and they got divorced. Not about the steps along the way, it's just this summation of the thing that happened. And I want us to consider the steps. So we're going to go to the Bible and see a real great summation of a Bible character that's found in Judges chapter 16. It's in your notes, and it's Samson. You got to fill in the blank there. It says, one day, your blank there is one day, Samson went to Gaza where he saw a prostitute. if you know the story of Samson, you know it didn't end well. But this is a great sentence summation that doesn't really talk about the steps. It says, Samson one day went down to Gaza to see a prostitute. Let me tell you why this is so profound. Imagine a geography with me, if you will. That whole strip of land there, and you have like Red Sea over here, and Mediterranean Sea over here. You got Zora up here, and way down here is Gaza. The distance between these two areas, 25 miles. So, we read, one day Samson went to Gaza where he saw a prostitute. We do not read or see that Samson took 56,250 steps to get there. I want to talk about the steps that it takes to get to these places, these bad habits, and really just remind us that at any step along the way, we can turn around. We can do what Samson didn't. We're going to come back to Samson because that is just an insane story. Last night I was watching Cecil B. DeMille's Samson and Delilah. Who's seen Samson and Delilah from 1940, I think it was 1949, 1950, and 1949. Carl, you were there.
Just barely.
So we, growing up, we had some of the classics on VHS. We had Ben-Hur, that was one of them. And I'm almost positive my parents taped this over Samson and Delilah, because maybe Samson and Delilah was too risque or something. But for whatever reason, at the end of Ben-Hur was like 10 minutes of the end of Cecil B. DeMille's like Samson and Delilah, where you got to see Samson just tearing down the walls of the temple and a bunch of chaos. And as a kid, I always wondered, what happened at the start of that movie? You go to the Bible and you're like, whoa. So last night, I rented it, and I read it on Amazon Prime. Shannon's looking over my screen. She's like, who's that bikini chick on the screen? Or what's that? It's Hedy Lamarr, silver screen star. I keep putting it Carl, but he knows. So in that, this has nothing really to do with the sermon. This just has to do with the cinema. I was curious, how did they start out the movie? And did they make any mention of this thing? And you know what? They did. They're going up and harassing some people, the tribe of Dan, these Philistines, and they're like, hey, you better stop messing with us, or Samson's going to come and get you. And the Philistines said, Samson, that guy's probably out with the harlots. This is great. As a child, I wouldn't know what the heck that meant, even now. So, back to the sermon. Again, that had nothing to do with nothing, other than I felt shelter as a child. Never got to see the opening. Okay. Samson, he took thousands of steps. Seems foolish, right? No one would do such a thing. Who would do such a thing? Who would go to a place where it's possible destruction and you could die? I mean that so specifically. At this time, this is chapter 16. If you remember, you Bible historians in chapter 15, what happened was Samson came down and opened up a can of kick butt and just destroyed a bunch of people. So imagine you just killed, a lot of your enemies, and then you're going to walk 25 miles and hang out in their village. He was public enemy number one at that time. They wanted him dead. And he just had some kind of death wish, I guess. Kind of like that thrill-seeking, adrenaline junkie mentality. Anyone know anyone like that? I just want to bring it down that Samson was a real person. I bet we know people who would relate. Because he walked into possible death and destruction, kind of like, whatever. And I don't think it was just about the sex. I think this guy was addicted to thrill. It's probably a bad habit. And every step of the way, he could have turned and said, I'm not going to feed this addiction to just having a good time, getting in fights, being a wild man. He had a choice. How often are we the same way? We know the path we're on leads to destruction. We know, but we're being cavalier about it. It doesn't matter. We think, I just want to feel better in the moment. I'm just looking to avoid pain and find pleasure. That's my MO. We might think that Samson was a foolish one. I'm just suggesting that many of us are just like him. And a lot of people we know are just like him. And having that empathy helps me know that I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Because just like Samson, God can use me. God can use you. Okay, let's move on with based on what you want to become, is in your notes, based on what you want to become, what habits do you need to break? James admonishes us. It says, get rid of every filthy habit. Does it just one filthy habit? It's every filthy habit. But I already took care of like this. I already kicked my gambling addiction. I kicked it. I'm good enough, right? James is hardcore. He's saying, no, every filthy habit and all wicked conduct, submit to God and accept the word that he plants in your hearts, which is able to save you. And that's the understanding we need to have. Maybe Samson felt like, I don't need anything. I'm strong. And maybe we need that understanding that we're weak. That's why we can't handle our habits. That's why we can't handle our online poker gambling addictions. It's recognizing we're weak. It's recognizing we don't have power over this thing that we thought we did. Let's talk about, real quickly, the difference between good habits and bad habits. It's as simple as this. Good habits, they're usually difficult to start. And you don't see the payoff until later on. So for those of you like me, who do like instant gratification, it's not fun putting in the beginning work on a good habit. For me, I've finally seen some exciting progress in my pull-up journey. Now, I know a lot of you are following my pull-up journey. You read the blog, you follow the pictures. No, that happens. I started out at the beginning of the year struggling to do one pull-up, just struggling. Now I can do 3, and that first pull-up, it's kind of easy and real satisfying. I just lift myself up there. I was telling Shannon, I still feel so weak though. I can only do 3. And she's like, yeah, but you're kind of pulling up and then she stopped and she said, well, how much do you weigh? She was like, I do, I'll take some dumbbells. And she says, I'll just do this 10 pounds, and that's kind of hard. What do you weigh again? 240? Anyway, what we're learning is if I lose weight, I'll be able to do even more pull-ups because of this enormous amount of weight that she so helpfully pointed out that I am dealing with every day. Oh yeah, everyone should just get a spouse so you have someone to tell you the reality every day. I call him the discount life coach.
That's right.
Discount life coach, but you get what you pay for. You never know. It's difficult to start good habits. You might want to start to run. It's exhausting, but 3 months later, you drop 9 pounds. You can keep up a good conversation while doing a jog. You're feeling sore every day because your feet still hurt because you're pounding pavement, and so it's not perfect. Life still stinks. I'm just saying, you people who exercise all the time, it ain't all butterflies and rainbows and sunshine. Your body's still kind of in pain and recovery mode. You guys are all psychos, and I kind of feel like that's an addiction, but I digress. Let's talk about those waking up early in the morning, spending time with God. Oh, you'd rather sleep in. You don't see though, 6-9 months later, you don't see it right away. Your marriage is better. You're kinder to your coworkers. You're having a better time because you're spending that time with God. Good things are hard to start because the results don't come as fast. Bad habits, on the opposite, you just get that benefit right away. You get that hit of goodness. You get the negative results later, though. You might start smoking at a young age and later on develop lung cancer. But maybe not for 20 or 30 years. Long time. You don't see the results down the road. For some people, you may never see them at all. I think about my grandpa Clayton. Us cousins talk about it amongst each other. Grandpa, he was able to smoked his whole life. He never got lung cancer. Do we have really good lungs in the Balcom family? And we have really good genes? That's the wrong way to think about things. We look at people who do things that maybe aren't the best habits and think, I could probably do that too. We try to justify our own behavior. We'll get more to that later. Of like we do the things depending on who we surround ourselves with, right? Maybe you're customer of the year at Hometown Buffet. I used to get shamed for loving Hometown Buffet, and never again. Never again. It's a good place. It's disgusting. It's good. You enjoy whatever bread pudding, whatever is your thing there. All that gravy. Years later, though, who knows what you got going on because of that honey baked ham you put in your belly. Diabetes, heart disease. Oh, Hometown Buffet, why'd you do it to me? In the moment, it felt so good. Maybe you have that mentality. No one lives forever. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I don't care about those things. It doesn't matter. I'm not planning to live to be 60 or 70 or 80 years old. I'm going to have a good time now with the things at my disposal. Honey baked ham and Hometown Buffet being one of those. Maybe you don't feel like you need to change. Remember, before we do any action, we ask ourselves, who am I? It's the who before the do. Before you give up a bad habit, ask yourself, who are you? Maybe your identity is one like, I'm supposed to see the Lord in 10 minutes, so I'm actually going to go to Hometown Buffet and get there quicker. If that's your identity, I bet that's not come from the Lord, but that's in your brain, that's your identity. And that's going to dictate that action. What's your identity, and how is it dictating which bad habits you need to give up? Remember, it's the who before you the do. So, practically speaking, how do we break bad habits? Number one here, it's not even a number thing. This is just basically, we need awareness. We need to acknowledge it, right? It's like that old adage of, is it bad news if someone tells you that you have a disease? It's bad news, but if you have that news, well, now you can do something about that disease, possibly treat it, and then it can really become good news from that perspective. So we need to acknowledge bad habits. Have some awareness of it. We can't defeat what we cannot define. Maybe it's your critical attitude. Maybe you just walk around and say, I know how to do everything so much better than other people. And then you just start complaining about other people. And then maybe you start gossiping about other people, but you do it in a nice Christian way of like, can you believe what sister so-and-so did and how they didn't do that correctly? We need to pray for them right now. Maybe it's your attitude. Maybe it is overeating. And I'm just saying that because I'm preaching to myself here. Guys, it's something I've always struggled with, but specifically sugar. Sugar is my deal. And I know you think, like, he's sweet enough. No, can never get enough. There was a time when I was exercising to the point of, it was so painful and uncomfortable, but I was meeting my exercise goal that I would reward myself with a pint of ice cream every night. So, there's no joke, I would walk 10 miles on my treadmill while I do my regular work at home. So it takes about like 4 hours to just be walking while I'm working on my laptop, walking. And then at the end of the day, I'm exhausted, but I've burned a ton of calories. And instead of eating healthy food, I was wanting to avoid the stress of life. I thought, I earned myself some sugar. And I thought to myself, it doesn't matter that I'm doing this thing, because I did this good thing here, and we cancel each other out, and I just become this normal human being. I don't think it works that way. I think if you do a positive habit here, exercising, and then you go over here and you do, heroin, it's probably canceled each other out. What if it's just like exercise and then eating a donut? I think it cancels each other out. It's not about the severity of the thing, it's about the bad habit. If it's heroin or if it's sugar, both have a consequence, but the base mentality is the same. In this situation, I am trying to escape pain to receive pleasure. In this situation, I'm just subjecting myself to pain for the pleasure of not even being fit or healthy. I'm doing it so I can justify doing this thing. Are you understanding what I'm saying? This is a practical thing that happened to me, but it is applied in so many areas of our life. Let me hear you. If an amen here, if you agree, or if you say this in your whole Christian walk. Have you ever heard of a drug dealer who says, "I'm slinging drugs, making a profit, but I tithe, so it's okay, right?" I've heard this before. I'm having an affair with the church secretary, but we're leading so many people to the Lord. Why do scandals happen in church and go on for so long? I think it's because of the justification that look at all the good work we're doing. And if we took care of this thing, this sin, well then everything would come down and that would be so terrible. So let's keep doing this thing. Let's try to work on it. Let's keep doing it. Whatever. Let's just hide sin. Instead of, I don't know, let's uncover sin. Let's let the light reveal it. And let's see if God's plan is better. Because God's plan is that if you reveal the bad stuff, you can take care of it. Because you're aware of it. And then you can better your life. To bring pleasure to God. That's again on purpose. I'm going to say that over and over and over. If you're ever wondering why the hell are we doing anything, it's for that, to bring pleasure to God. And I know some of you guys are like, whoa, he just said hell. And what's funny is we're more like worried about our cursing than we are about us not bringing pleasure to God. Does that make sense? Yes. We call out like sin, sin, sin. Guys, we need to be walking in fellowship, spurring each other on to bringing God pleasure. If there's sin in each other's lives that we perceive, we need to come alongside and say, brother, sister, you're not going to walk along that path alone. I'm going to walk it with you. I'm not going to let you stay in that place. Okay, I feel like I've been going too many areas here. Let me land back on bad habits. Mine was, again, sugar. I'm still struggling with that. And I'll talk about some of the things we've done at the house to take care of my addiction. Okay, so how do you break a bad habit? This is to your notes. Make it difficult to do. I want to live in a house with no sugar, but it's not possible. We have baking needs, but I can live in a house without ice cream. That's right. I can make it difficult to eat the sugar. Let me tell you something specifically I deal with every year. Every year. Tell me if you're the same way. Girl Scout cookies. Oh, they come around. I'm like, I'll just have like I'll order 3 boxes, and then I'll put them in the freezer because they'll last longer because they're cold. And you're like, oh, it's one little cold Thin Mint. And it's weird to just have like a pile of them because it's like you have a system, you know? I'm saying it like this because this is the way I grew up, because we would have a box of Thin Mints in the freezer that I swear my dad and mom, it would take them 2 months to maybe get through. They showed us discipline. I saw that and I thought, I could be like dad. I could be like my dad. I can have discipline. So like last year, I buy Thin Mints. I go through all 3 boxes in one day. Oh man. And then I think like, you know what, don't feel bad about yourself. Get right back on that horse and just do better next time. So, I don't know, buy some more cookies and see if you can resist temptation. So, that's what we do. Gotta try again. Gotta buy 3 more cookies, 3 more boxes. And I'm probably good for like a day, at least a few hours. Oh, but then, I'll tell you what happens with me. I don't eat throughout the day, because I think, I want to eat healthy, but it's boring to eat healthy, so I just don't eat. And then by the time nighttime comes around, I'm like, I haven't eaten anything today. Well, those cookies are convenient, and they'll make me happy, and I can try again tomorrow. Wouldn't it be better if I just didn't have cookies in the house? What I'm saying is, if you want to stop a bad habit, you got to make it difficult. If you have a gambling problem, delete the program off your computer that you're doing your gambling with. Or if you have a group chat with a bunch of guys and you talk about all your winnings, stop having that group chat. And then you're lonely and you don't have a group chat anymore about poker. You got to start a new group chat. This happened to me. This was a thing. I'm just saying. You have to make sin difficult. You have to make bad habits difficult if you want to break them. There's 5 warnings going on here in the book of Proverbs. This is your notes. Proverbs 4, it says, do not set foot on the path of the wicked, or walk in the way of evildoers. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn from it and go your own way. I imagine the author was like, okay, stop doing stupid stuff. And the editor was like, you want to write a little bit more than that? We need we got a whole chapter to fill. Yeah. Just a little bit more. Can we make this in song form? And he was like, hold my quill. And then he said, I'm not gonna double down, triple down, quadruple down, I'm gonna 5 times down. Do not set foot on the path. Well, if you've already set foot on the path, you're already breaking his stop, be better, don't do that. He's like, be specific. Don't even set foot on the path. If the path is there, don't even do that. Don't even look at it. No. It says, don't set foot on the path. Don't walk in the way of evildoers. And I think that's saying, hey, it's not just about the path. Look who's walking on the path. Look around. Who else is on that same journey? Is that the person you want to be like? And then they go on more. Avoid it. That path doesn't exist for you. Wouldn't it be so great if you could go back in time and take away those moments where you were introduced to a bad habit? And so it's just not even on your radar anymore? That's not even a thing for me anymore. It was totally avoided. That's kind of why we like to shelter children. We don't want people to be exposed to things, especially at ages where they don't know how to deal with that, to know that that is not the path. You don't want to walk on that path. There's evildoers on that path. Turn from it and go on your way. That to me is that last final, hey, it's not just like on that, it's like a toddler next to a light socket, and they got a little probe, like a fork, and they're like, what is that light socket? And someone says, don't touch that, and they're like, they still got their probe. Hey, don't even look at that. Hey, look at that kid over there. He just got electrocuted. Don't do that. Don't do that. The last admonition here says, turn from it and go on your way. Don't do it. Get out of there. Make a direction in the opposite way. If you want to take anything from this passage in Proverbs, it's just this. Hit you over the head like, run, flee. Psychology talks about a habit loop, how we start with a trigger that leads to an action, and that leads to a reward, right? So you're stressed out, and so you come home and you have a beer, and that feeling of relaxation is your reward. But then you're going to get triggered again, and the loop will keep going. So if there's this habit loop of trigger, action, reward, what's something we need to do? What's our steps? We need to be aware of the trigger, try to make it difficult, try to remove it, and then definitely remove the action. If we can take care of that and take care of that, then the reward can take care of itself as our brain can shift to other things that it needs. But let's be very specific here. We're talking about interrupting the trigger and interrupting the action. You know my saying, you can't keep a bird from pooping your head, but you can keep it from building a nest in your hair. It does, right? Triggers might come. It's not spiral. It's not spiral. There's 5 things in your notes we're going to write down here. These are 5 major triggers. The first one is place. The second one is time. And if you're taking notes, the third one is mood. The fourth one is moment. And the fifth one is people. Place, time, mood, moment, people. We're going to go through each of those this morning. I think the first week I spoke, my dad said, hey, you could talk longer. I'm going to talk longer today. You guys having a good time? Yeah. It doesn't matter, I'm talking long. Okay. I have the microphone. So, place. you might find that you're not overeating at the gym. Who's going to the gym with like some strawberry shortcake and just having combos? Like, how's your set going today? That would be weird. You're not going to get triggered to overeat in a gym. You're probably not going to get high at church, or if you are, we should probably have a conversation. Which is a better place to get high. Not church. I bet at the grocery store you're not looking at porn in the checkout aisle, right? So the place is typically a trigger. What are those places where you could get triggered? How about time of day? Like maybe you're not looking at something bad on your device midday at work, but at nighttime when everyone's gone to bed, what time is it? Is that a trigger? Is time a trigger? Late at night when you're bored and alone, you're hungry, and then that box of cookies looks oh so good. How about your mood? Your mood can trigger you in so many ways. Shannon taught me this. It's a HALT method. H stands for, are you hungry? A stands for, are you angry? L stands for, are you lonely? And T stands for tired. So look at your mood. Is your mood being a trigger right now? If you're any of those emotions, you better put your brain at high alert of like, I might do something bad right now. I should take care of one of these needs before I make any decisions that might lead me down my bad habit rabbit hole. Bad habit rabbit hole sounds cool, and I just think that needs to be a shirt. I just made that up right now. Oh, we're spitting out truths this morning and slogans. How about the moment? What's triggered a particular moment? I know if you got, like, let's say, yelled at by your boss, you might come home with a little bit of angst and want some escape. That's a moment trigger. Do your moments trigger you? Another one might be you're celebrating because you just won a softball game. So everyone's having drinks. It's the moment. You're living in that moment. It doesn't even feel like a trigger for a bad habit. Oh, what it might be? Maybe the moment that you flunked a test at school, so you're smoking pot. Or you got 100% on your test, and so you're smoking pot. Or you skipped your test, and so you're smoking pot. Is it the moment? What's going on in the moment? People were tracked, scientists tracked 12,000 people for 32 years. 12,000 people, 32 years. And they learned some interesting things about these people, and one of the biggest ones was that friendships matter. The Bible tells us that, but science has proven it. Friendships matter. And there was an interesting part of that. So a few facts, but one that stuck with me was that if you have a friend who loses weight in the friend group, there's out of 3 people in that friend group, science says that one other person who's friends with that fit person will be influenced to also lose weight. And what that means is we can influence each other in negative ways, but also in good ways. Your friendships matter. People matter. People can be triggers. People can also be good triggers for you, right? Proverbs says, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. And then 1 Corinthians, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. I know this to be true in my life. And for you older people out there, if you're older than 40, can you, for our younger people's benefit, by show of hands, say, is it a true statement? Raise your hands if it's a yes, that bad company corrupts good character. Is that a true statement that you've seen in your life, like lived out? Bad company corrupts good character. It matters who you spend your time with. So we're talking about breaking the habit loop. That we got to stop the trigger, that we got to interrupt the action. So let's say you're not waking up early enough where you want to exercise, and that's a bad habit for you. You're going to make it more difficult to turn off your alarm. I've lived with people before who don't turn off their alarms right away. And it's a cruel and unusual punishment for the person who, well, they wanted to sleep in. If you're perhaps overspending and that's your deal, maybe you need a buddy, a friend who says, hey, before you make that Amazon purchase, you need to talk to me and we'll discuss what you should or shouldn't do and have that trusting relationship with a friend. where you're open and honest with them. Say, hey, I'm struggling with this thing. I overspend. That's what we're about. That's what we're for, to spur each other on to good deeds. That might take you being honest with someone else. Say, hey, I got a problem here. If your problem is looking at appropriate images on your phone, maybe you need to lock down that phone. And maybe you don't have the self-control to lock down your phone. You need to get one of those boring phones that don't have access to the internet. Maybe you got severe problems like gambling and drug addiction, anger issues, and all sorts of things. And what you need is rehabilitation. You need rehab. And I want to say one thing here. Rehab isn't weakness. Rehab's wisdom. Taking care of those issues in a serious way, that's wisdom. It's not weakness. Maybe your life gets to that point. You got to do that. And do it. I want to close with a few things. This is in the closing. We're landing this plane here. The habits you have today are going to shape who you're going to become tomorrow. I got to ask you, do you like the directions your habits are taking you? If you really did a thought experiment right now, and close your eyes and thought, the way I live my life right now, I can see it. I know, because the choices I'm making now, I'm on the track to becoming this. Are you happy with the direction your life's going? If not, is there some areas where you need to make adjustments? Are there some bad habits you need to drop? Shannon gave me a great illustration one time. She said, hey, do yourself a favor and do this thing. I was like, what does that mean? And she was explaining it like, your future self will thank you for taking this particular action. For example, if you're, drinking a lot and being hungover, your future self is probably upset with you. Like, what the heck? I feel like crap. Do yourself a favor, don't do that thing, and then your future self will thank you. There's a practical way to apply that. If you have a work task to do that you could do today, don't put it off to tomorrow. Do it today, because your future self is going to thank you. They're going to appreciate you putting in that work then, so you don't have to stress out later. The decisions we make today are going to influence our life in the future. So, why resist temptation today? Why resist temptation tomorrow if you have the power to eliminate it today? Why resist temptation tomorrow if you can take care of it today, if you destroy it today? Do your future self a favor. Take care of those bad habits today so they're still not plaguing you 10, 20, 30 years from now. Maybe you feel weak, like I can't even start with anything. I need my bad habits to cope. The Bible says it's in weakness, that's where God's strong. That's where God comes alongside us when we're honest and say, we are powerless and we can't do this alone. That needs to come, though, begin with an attitude of surrender and understanding I can't do this alone. I don't have the self-control to do this thing. And God's like, don't worry, I got you, buddy. You're not alone, and you can overcome. So it's okay if you're feeling weak. It's okay if you're feeling defeated. Christ is stronger than that. Samson took tens of thousands of steps. Samson took those steps. God didn't take those steps for him. God's not leading Samson into temptation. God's not leading you into temptation. Who can attest to this from their own lives, that when sin comes a knocking at the door, that God always provides a way out from that temptation? Right? Who's experienced that from even when something's about to happen and you get a phone call to interrupt that thing? Right? When we were kids, this is so silly, but when we were kids, 7, 8 years old, I remember knowing about this, that God will tempt you, or your temptation will come, and God will give you a way out, and so there'll be a disruptor thing. And I remember thinking one time, man, I really want Mom to come home because she's supposed to take us this one thing, and she's away running errands, so how do we get Mom to come home? We'll just do something bad. If we do something bad, then God will bring her home to interrupt us. And no joke, it worked. It freaking worked. And I'm just saying, the childlike faith Who knows? But it's like, put on some TV show or movie you're not supposed to watch as a kid. Like the parent just comes in. I don't know, it worked. It just worked. Maybe today, you don't feel weak at all. You feel like Samson. You feel strong. You feel like that adrenaline junkie. You're going strong. Like I'm loving life and living life grand. And what I find is that everything seems to work out. In chapter 15, Samson got into a ton of shenanigans, killed a bunch of people, and then went into hiding. And then the next chapter, it just says nonchalantly, "Oh, I'm going to walk to a prostitute in the town where I just killed a bunch of people." Like, that is so insane to do that type of a thing, right? But everything worked out. I mean, literally in that story, they surround the area that he's in, and they say to themselves, "Hey, let's get him at dawn." And he hears that they're outside, and he says, "Okay, I've been in this situation before." Who knows? His hooker's like screaming, and he's saying, "Hey, shut up," because he was a bad guy. I mean, at this point, he's not very likable. I want to make him an unlikable character. Brash, entitled. This was, in my opinion, Samson. Stop being hysterical. I've been in this situation before. Okay, I'm going to go outside now. And he goes outside to the city gates, and it says he rips the gates from their hinges. And these are really big gates, very heavy. This was a miraculous feat of strength. And he says he took these gates and goes up to a hill and just says, like, "Look, here's your city gates." Bah! And then he goes back on his way. There's no slap on the hand. God didn't come down and say, like, "Hey, what about that hooker? Like, what? No. Here's what I am reminding us. Sometimes you're going to get away with your bad actions, and you're going to think God approves. God's still blessing me. And so this is okay. And I got it handled. And I don't need to change." And that's insane. Because we can look at Samson's life and how it was lived and how it ended. Here's what I want to tell you. God's best for you isn't for you to go out in a feat of strength, which ends your life and a bunch of enemies. God wants to use your life not in some kind of sacrificial feat of destruction, but he wants to use your life to bring life to others. Not to be the wild card who's beating up people for God, whatever. We think we can be, this hardcore adrenaline junkie for God and teeter-totter on these other things because look at all the good things we're doing for God. God's like, "I don't want you to do those things that you think you're doing that are all great. I want you to bring life, and you need to bring life to your life to your life, so you can bring life to other people's lives. If you're just carrying out a corpse and feeding that corpse with all sorts of destruction, you got nothing to offer, and you're just like those Pharisees, where Jesus said, "You're like whitewashed tombstones. You look beautiful on the outside, but inside you're nothing but death and disease," and it's really gross. When we're talking about bad habits, we got to remember the why, the who. Who are you in Christ, and who does Christ want you to become? I'll say it again. It's for us to bring pleasure to God and to spur each other on to bring pleasure to God. That's what we're here to do, please the Lord. We need to break those bad habits because that's what God's calling us to do. And he wants to, as iron sharpens iron, he wants to use us in each other's lives. For better or for worse, right now we're a church in each other's lives. I'm going to pray. Lord God, I just pray that this week you'd help us to open up and be honest with each other about the struggles we're going through and help us come alongside each other. Lord, I pray for I pray for your wisdom. And I pray for everyone here. Lord, you're speaking to their hearts and telling them the things they want to change. I pray that they would hear you, Lord, and make decisions today to stop that thing, to put that thing aside. But we can only do it with your help, God. So we surrender right now to you, Lord. Give that thing to you.